content catch-up.
Well, do you want to continue on the basketball train and jump straight back into my content this week?
Yes, let's jump into your content. The
Okay.
content you gave me homework for.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could have left that. The pod would have sounded better if you didn't reveal that. But I wanted to talk. I thought it'd be pretty rude and ignorant of us to not speak about the championship because, the Los Angeles Lakers championship. So they won their 17th ring. Obviously, one of the biggest franchises in all of sports, I'm assuming. I just wanted to go through and sort of look at what they did and what they didn't. And I'll say, when we talk about what they didn't, we'll call it the hypothetical didn't, because we don't act like they can just do anything, because in reality, I think the scenes in the room, there'd be that much madness, and you wouldn't want to just you couldn't just pull over Anthony Davis and have a full sit-down interview or anything, so it's not like they could do anything. But I thought we'd just talk through it. So, let's have a look. And why I wanted to talk through it was because I've never actually asked you this, but you haven't been involved in any... Did the Renegades or anything win, I don't know, cricket while you were working there?
They, in fact, did win
Oh, okay.
while I was there. But that's a small... To be fair, I was... that was when I was working with Cohen, our good old friend
Cohen shout out.
McElroy. Cohen, shout out. So Cohen was in charge of social media and I was just in charge of game day social.
Right.
So I was doing the tweets and stuff like that. But yeah, we won. We won BBL 09.
That'd be quite cool, because the reason why I wanted to talk about it is it's probably realistically quite a once-in-a-lifetime thing for if you work behind the scenes at a sporting club to win a championship. So I thought we'd take a look at what they did. I'll go through... I've just sort of made points for what they did, and stop me at any point to see if you want to talk about any of them. But basically, in my mind, I'm like, what does one of the biggest sporting teams and franchises do if they win a championship? So first thing, after sort of celebrating that they won, we saw champagne celebrations in the rooms. Obviously, that was pretty mad. Another thing they did was LeBron was FaceTiming his mum. I really liked that, but I don't know if it was planned, but shout out to them anyway. iPhone player messages. So LeBron, I think he was still on the court sort of shouting out the fans. I think that was important because obviously no fans being there and you got to sort of make them feel loved. Multiple other players did it. Danny Green, your boy JaVale, Caruso, they did them.
Javali.
So me and Jules first, it's probably one of our first conversations. If anyone's an NBA fan, he thought JaVale McGee's name was Javali McGill. And that's going to stick with me forever. Anyway, so
Javali.
iPhone player messages to fans. I think that's a good touch. Easy do. A thank you fans video, which sounds good, but if you've seen it, it's probably only like 8 or so clips with basic text. It's probably just something they got prepared to roll out when they won. A thank you coaching staff image. So they just did individual shout outs to coaching staff, and then individual player story shouts. So it might just be photos of Instagram, but sort of talking about whether it be Dwight Howard, once played for the Lakers, was a big disappointment, then came back and won a championship. So I think it's good to cover individual stories. Another one I like that they crossed off, obviously something that's important to cover, Jeannie Buss, their owner, first female to win a championship.
The first winner, yep.
Yep. 2020 champions IG highlight, so it was a good 15 to 20 sort of behind the scenes. That was really slick. There are a few videos. And then in total, 36 Instagram posts to this day of purely championship content. I don't know if that sounds like a lot to you. Yeah, since they won.
When was the win? It was like, what day? Tuesday, Wednesday?
Yeah, probably. And they're still going on like individual player shots holding the trophies. It sounds like a lot, but hell, why not?
I think that's half the thing. If you do win a championship, why not post? Because you're probably more damned if you don't post anything, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's
people
good.
are lapping it up. Yeah,
absolutely. So I think everything I did was great. I think I would be very intrigued what you sort of prepare behind the scenes, because obviously it was more likely they'd win than they didn't. But one thing I didn't notice or didn't see maybe any of was footage from their videographer. And I'm not sure if there's something to come, but yeah, because I was sort of scrolling and I couldn't see anything whether, one that I had in my head was have the camera at the bench, on the bench players when the siren goes or buzzer goes and they run out, things like that. that was sort of a hypothetical didn't for me because I think that's something that I would have loved to see. But when I'm talking about all this, is there anything in your mind, your homework? What did you come up with?
um, I did notice that. I did notice that they didn't really have like anything behind the scenes that would be like more in depth. But I'm now assuming that something else is just coming later. That's my thought process.
That's the impression I got too. So hopefully.
The one thing I really liked that they did was the newspaper ad they took out in the whatever Los Angeles Times or whatever the newspaper is there, thanking the Herald Sun. Fuck the Herald Sun. Thanking their fans. I thought that's like a nice traditional touch to do.
Yeah.
I loved everything that was the Carew show. I think they could have done a whole series on the Carew show.
Yeah.
I don't know. This one really got me thinking because I think they did everything that you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's anything that they unticked, and I think that video one's coming at some stage. So it got me thinking like, what could they do, because they're the LA fucking Lakers and they own the town, right?
Yeah.
So, welcome to this is what kept me up last night, Barks. Thanks a lot. So Snoop Dogg.
Hang on. He got a fresh tattoo.
Fresh tattoo. A song. I want a song. I want a corny 90s basketball song written by Snoop Dogg about the Lakers. That's what I want.
Okay. You've gone a bit more out there than my suggestions, but I like it. Carry on.
I want that. I want the Hollywood sign lit up in yellow and purple as a celebration.
That's cool. You have gone big here.
And here's my piece de resistance.
Jesus.
The LA show.
You want a show?
The LA show. No, not a show. I want an interactive fan experience at... Is it the Staples Center? It's not the Staples Center anymore, is it?
Yes. Yeah, it is. Yep.
Is it still the Staples Center? I want an interactive fan experience consisting of like a replica court of the bubble, where there's like screens up around everywhere that's like different moments from all 7 games, like playing. It's like a virtual museum type thing. That's what I want. I want that. I want them to fucking go big, because
you don't want much.
my theory is, right, their fans couldn't be at any of those games. I don't think it's responsible to have like a big fucking parade during COVID, although like America probably would do it. Yeah. I think like they need something where fans can go and experience the games in the most realistic way possible, or stuff they didn't realize from the games. And maybe you tie in more stuff, like the other cool thing would be to involve those players that, you know, came in a bit late, like J.R. Smith. How does he feel like after he fucked up the Cleveland one, and then to finally be able to get this you know the word I'm looking for, like to get his chance with LeBron again and prove himself right, even though I don't think he did much. Marcus Morris, is that the other one that came in as a replacement for Boogie?
Markeith, but Marcus is his twin, so
Markeith. Yeah, sorry. Markeith. Like, how does he feel? Like, he was probably brought into the team again late. He had to prove himself. Like, what's his story? What's his experience of the final moments? Danny Green, after he had a shocker in the game 3, like, how does he feel? Like, I think there's more stories to just LeBron and Anthony Davis, and even Caruso to a degree, but I think there's some cool stories to be told still. Even Rondo. That's
exactly what I was thinking. I'm glad you mentioned the Danny Green focus on that missed shot in Game 5 or whatever it was. Because, like, I agree. I think you could have done... And this is why I said they're hypothetical didn't, because we don't know. In reality, all the staff would probably just be in a hurry to get back to their families and loved ones, so it's probably not too realistic. But I agree. I think you could... It'd be great if you could have had a real raw sort of sit-down moment with Dwight Howard in the locker room, Markieff Morris in the locker room, and just ask them 1 or 2 really quick questions. And I think they did have time to do it, because they did like their own I saw a few of them did like IG lives on their own Instagram. So there would have been moments in the locker room where you could have dived into that. I'm glad you mentioned J.R. Smith and Dion Waiters. They've got the personnel, and it might be a bit dangerous, but could you imagine if Lakers went live on IG with all those players?
With those guys?
Yeah.
That'd be touch and go, wouldn't it?
Dangerous, but imagine the interaction.
Who was the one that you posted on your Twitter that was too drunk to answer a question? Was that Danny Green or was that Kuzma?
No, Kyle Kuzma. At Bingo Barker, everyone. Twitter. No, it's Kyle Kuzma. Sorry, I just had to drop my ad in.
I'm gonna drop a sound effect in there that's like that bing, like a plug bing.
Oh, you should follow it with the corny boo from like the 90s shows. Sorry, go on.
One last thought. Snoop Dogg on a float going down LA, free concert.
Yeah, okay. And you want that during COVID? We want this podcast to be responsible.
Debuting his new Lakers championship song. Thank you.
Okay,
That's all I want. It's not that hard.
You've gone big, but I was even thinking a really easy one they could tick off that would have got love because of the how it started, how it began phase on Twitter. Do that with Dwight. Do that with Rondo. Do that with.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But anyway, I think it's not meant to be a bashing of the Lakers. I thought it'd just be fun to, get our creative minds thinking about what we'd do in that situation. I know you did it with, you won with the Renegades, but that's cricket, so let's not talk about that anymore.